Look around you. The world is not fair, it never was. While you break your back for scraps, others build empires on your labor. While you beg for approval, others bend respect and fear to their will. Life is not a game of kindness, it is a battlefield. And here is the law: either you dominate or you are dominated. There is no middle ground. Understand this: weakness is punished, not pitied. Comfort is a drug that dulls your edge. Every smile hides a hidden agenda. Every promise masks a chain. If you move through life expecting fairness, you are not noble, you are prey. The truth is, brutal power is the only currency, and those who fail to claim it will forever serve those who do. This is your awakening. 10 laws, 10 ruthless steps, a path that will strip away the illusions that keep you small and reforge you into something dangerous, untouchable, inevitable. Each chapter will hand you a weapon: silence, fear, discipline, narrative, adaptation, until you rise above the herd. Now the choice is yours: predator or prey, ruler or ruled, empire builder or eternal servant. Comment it below: I choose domination. Because once you speak those words, you are no longer one of them. You begin the climb. You begin the war. Power. The very word unsettles the weak. They whisper it like it's forbidden, like a curse they dare not speak. But to the strong, power is not taboo, it is oxygen. Without it, you choke. Without it, you kneel. With it, you command. Here is the first law you must engrave into your bones: power is control, not just over others, but first and foremost over yourself. The man who cannot command his own impulses, his time, his mind has no claim to rule anything beyond himself. And yet, look around. Most men are slaves not to chains, but to distraction, to lust, to fear, to ego. They scroll, they waste, they surrender. Tell me, how can such men ever hope to rule the world when they cannot even rule themselves? Machiavelli understood this. He wrote that men are not moved by morality, but by necessity, by fear, by advantage. Strip away the polite illusions of society, and you'll see it clearly. Every handshake is a negotiation. Every friendship is an exchange. Every loyalty is conditional. Ignore this truth, and you will forever be bent by others. Accept it, master it, and you become untouchable. Power is not noise. It is not empty posturing. True power is quiet, calculated, disciplined. It is the ability to bend the frame of reality while others live trapped inside it. A man who wields power doesn't need to shout. His presence commands silence. His stillness creates pressure. His gaze unsettles. Why? Because people fear what they cannot read and respect what they cannot break. The law of power demands sacrifice. You must sacrifice the illusions that comfort the herd. Stop chasing approval, it weakens you. Stop believing in fairness, it does not exist. Stop expecting kindness, it is a mask. Replace them with clarity, with self-control, with discipline. Power is not given, it is seized. So ask yourself, do you act or do you react? Do you command or do you obey? Do you shape your world or does the world shape you? There is no neutral position. There are only rulers and ruled. Here is your first command. Master yourself. Control your impulses, your emotions, your time. Each hour wasted is a tribute you pay to stronger men. Each outburst is a weakness they will exploit. Each excuse is a leash you willingly tie around your own neck. Kill the child within that craves comfort. Forge the man who commands reality. When you do, you will notice the shift. Conversations bend toward you. People hesitate before crossing you. Enemies calculate twice before striking, because power radiates silently, invisibly, relentlessly. Now comment this: power is my birthright. Declare it, engrave it, because until you claim it, someone else will. This is the law of power. Break it, and you will always be prey. Obey it, and the world bends. Noise is the language of the weak. Silence is the weapon of the powerful. Most men believe they gain respect by speaking louder, proving themselves, filling every room with words. But the truth is this: the more you reveal, the easier you are to control. The man who cannot stay silent is the man who hands his enemies the map to his weaknesses. Understand this. Every word you speak is a thread. Pull enough threads and the fabric of your power unravels. This is why the first great predators in history learned to master silence. They let others talk, expose, and betray themselves. They listened calculated and struck only when it was too late to stop them. Machiavelli himself warned a ruler must not always reveal his true intentions. To expose your entire hand is to hand over your throne. The world fears what it cannot read. The world respects what it cannot predict. And that is why silence creates power. Weak silence is born of fear. Strategic silence is born of control. When you refuse to react, you suffocate the manipulator. When you let the pause grow heavy, you force others to explain themselves. When you remain unreadable, you make people afraid not of what you've said, but of what you might do. Picture this. A man insults you in front of others, expecting laughter, expecting you to fight back. Instead, you say nothing. You lock eyes, your face stone, and you let silence choke the air. The laughter dies. The tension grows. Suddenly, the joke is not on you, it is on him. Your silence becomes his mirror, forcing him to drown in his own words. That is how silence flips power. The herd fears silence because it exposes them. But you, if you are to rise, you must embrace it. Speak less than necessary. Hold back your plans. Reveal nothing until it serves your strategy. Every silence you wield is a trap. Every unreadable pause a weapon. Here is your command: make silence. Your shield and your sword. Use it in negotiations. Let the other side overplay their hand. Use it in conflict. Refuse to react until your reaction is decisive. Use it in daily life. Say little, reveal less, move in shadow. The man who cannot be read cannot be defeated. So I ask you, do you want to be noise or shadow? Do you want to be predictable chatter or the silent storm that terrifies the room? Comment this right now. My silence is my weapon. Declare it. Because once you master silence, you stop being prey. You become the ghost. They fear the shadow. They cannot grasp the storm they cannot stop. This is the strategy of silence. Break it and you remain weak. Master it and you become untouchable. Most men dream of power but collapse under routine. They want crowns without chains, results without repetition. And that is why they remain weak. Understand, this discipline is not optional. It is survival. Without discipline, your ambition rots. Your empire crumbles before it begins. A man without discipline is not free. He is enslaved by every impulse, every craving, every distraction. Look around. The lazy man is ruled by comfort, the greedy man by desire, the coward by fear. They call it freedom, but it is nothing more than slavery to their own weakness. The Machiavellian man understands a darker truth. Discipline is the executioner of weakness. To rise, you must kill parts of yourself, your excuses, your laziness, your hunger for comfort. Each day becomes a battlefield, and every indulgence is betrayal. Picture this. The alarm rings at 5 a.m. The weak man snoozes. He tells himself he deserves rest, that he will start tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. The disciplined man rises. He sharpens his body, his mind, his focus. While the weak man dreams, the disciplined man builds. And when the world finally wakes, the gap is already unbridgeable. Discipline is cold. Discipline is merciless. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care about motivation. It doesn't bend to moods. That's why the masses despise it. But that's why the elite worship it. Because discipline carves men into weapons. Machiavelli warned, men sooner forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony. Apply this to your own life. Every hour wasted is inheritance stolen from yourself. Every distraction indulged is power stripped from your future. If you cannot command your time, you cannot command anything. Here is the law: your habits are your destiny, not your dreams, not your words, not your intentions. Habits. Small actions repeated daily until they shape your reality. Weak habits forge weak men. Ruthless habits forge kings. You will be mocked for this. They will call you obsessed, rigid, robotic. Let them. Their laughter is the sound of the defeated. When they chase dopamine, you will chase power. When they waste hours, you will sharpen your edge. And when they ask how you did it, you will answer with silence, because discipline doesn't explain. Discipline proves. So ask yourself, are you the master of your day or the slave of your excuses? Every second you waste, someone else is using to build an empire that will rule over you. Here is your command. Be ruthless with yourself. Cut weakness at the root. Rise when you don't want to. Work when you don't feel like it. Stay cold when comfort whispers, because every act of discipline is a brick in your fortress, and every act of weakness is a crack in your throne. Comment this right now. My discipline is my crown. Say it, believe it, live it. Because the man who masters discipline cannot be stopped. He doesn't need luck. He doesn't need permission. He doesn't even need motivation. He only needs himself, and that is enough. This is the ruthlessness of discipline. Break it, and you will bow forever. Master it, and you will rise above all. There are only two forces that bend the will of men: fear and respect. Everything else, love, kindness. Loyalty is fragile, conditional, temporary. Strip away illusions, and you will see this brutal truth. If you are not feared, you are ignored. If you are not respected, you are used. Machiavelli declared, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Why? Because love is fickle. Love vanishes when conditions change, but fear endures. Respect endures. They form the twin pillars of control. Look at the weak man. He seeks to be liked. He bends his back to win approval. He offers endless chances, forgives endless disrespect. What does he gain? Nothing. He becomes invisible, taken for granted, treated as expendable. The world does not pity him. It feasts on him. Now look at the man who embodies fear and respect. His presence commands silence before he speaks. His boundaries are never crossed twice. His allies know loyalty brings reward. His enemies know defiance brings ruin. He does not chase affection, yet people chase his acknowledgement, like starving men chase bread. Here lies the law to control others. You must engineer both fear and respect together. Fear alone invites rebellion. Respect alone invites exploitation. But the union of both creates unbreakable obedience. How do you craft it? Set boundaries immediately. The first insult ignored is permission for the next. The first betrayal forgiven without consequence is an invitation for more. You must teach others that violation is costly every single time. Be unpredictable in punishment. Never let them map your reactions. Sometimes silence, sometimes withdrawal, sometimes cold confrontation. Uncertainty breeds anxiety. Anxiety breeds caution. Project competence ruthlessly. Respect is never gifted, it is earned. Master your craft, deliver results. Prove that your presence adds undeniable value. Even your enemies will bow to competence they cannot match. Withhold approval. Everyone else gives validation cheaply. You do not. Your praise must feel like treasure. This scarcity makes others crave your respect more than gold. Imagine a man who combines these weapons. To his allies, he is a fortress, dependable, strong, rewarding. To his enemies, he is a storm, sudden, destructive, unforgettable. That duality is what makes him untouchable. Understand this: people are selfish. They obey not because of morality, but because of calculation. Fear sets the cost. Respect sets the reward. Together, they create control, and control is the true currency of power. You will be hated for this. They will call you cold. They will call you ruthless. Let them. Their accusations are confessions of their own weakness. The strong are always condemned by the powerless. But when the dust settles, they obey you anyway. Ask yourself, do people in your life treat you with respect when you're absent or only when you're useful? Do they hesitate before crossing you, or do they assume you'll forgive? Your answers reveal whether you rule or whether you kneel. Here is your command. Stop chasing love. Start commanding respect. Stop craving approval. Start instilling fear. Because in the hierarchy of life, men either dominate or are dominated. Comment this now: I choose respect over love. I choose fear over weakness. Engrave it into your soul. For the man who commands fear and respect does not need to demand power. Power bends to him naturally. This is the law. Break it, and you will be ruled forever. Master it, and you will sit on a throne no one dares challenge. Every battle is fought twice, first in the mind, then in the world. If you win the mind, the body follows. This is the art of psychological warfare. The invisible war where rulers are made and victims are broken. Understand this. Brute force is crude. Violence scars, chaos consumes. But control of the mind is permanent, silent, devastating. A man whose mind you conquer no longer resists you. He becomes your instrument. That is why the greatest rulers of history rarely swung swords. They planted ideas, doubts, illusions. The weak imagine war is loud. They think victory comes from shouting, arguing, defending. But real power is quiet. The calm stare, the deliberate pause, the silence that breaks another man's confidence. These are sharper than any blade. Machiavelli himself warned men are driven by two things: fear and self-interest. Psychological warfare weaponizes both. You do not need to destroy your enemy. You make him destroy himself. Here is the dark arsenal. Control the frame. Whoever sets the frame of reality wins before the fight begins. Do not argue within another man's narrative. Force him into yours. If he thinks small, speak larger. If he is emotional, answer with cold logic. The one who defines the terms controls the outcome. Plant doubt like poison. Doubt corrodes faster than weapons. A whisper, a pause, a subtle question enough to make him wonder. Once a man doubts himself, his own mind does the rest of your work. Weaponize unpredictability. When they cannot read you, they fear you. When they cannot predict you, they hesitate. And hesitation is defeat before action even begins. Master scarcity. Make yourself less available. The less of you they can touch, the more of you they crave, and the more they fear losing your presence. Scarcity builds power because what is rare is worshipped. Exploit emotion. Anger blinds desire, enslaves, fear paralyzes. Do not fight emotion head-on. Redirect it. Let their anger make them reckless. Let their greed expose them. Let their fear cage them. Picture this: two men in conflict. One rages, shouting, demanding. The other sits still, eyes unblinking, silence stretching. The raging man grows desperate. His own words unravel him. The silent man. He has already won. Psychological warfare is not cruelty. It is realism. In a world where everyone is trying to manipulate you, either you play the game or you are the game. The herd chooses honesty, fairness, morality, and they are devoured. The few choose shadows, silence, strategy, and they rule. Ask yourself, do people around you control how you feel? Do their insults shake you, their praise lift you, their silence frighten you? If yes, you are a pawn in their psychological war. Break free. Reclaim control. Here is your law: conquer the mind. First, the body will follow. Conquer doubt, you conquer destiny. Conquer perception, you conquer reality. Now write this in the comments if you understand: I conquer minds before battles. My silence is my weapon. Remember, swords rust, armies fall, empires collapse. But the man who masters psychological warfare cannot be touched. He wins before the battle even begins. This is the art. Apply it and the world becomes your chessboard. Ignore it and you will remain just another pawn. A man who cannot master his emotions will never master his destiny. He will always be a puppet pulled by anger, seduced by desire, broken by fear. But the man who builds a fortress around his emotions, he becomes untouchable. Understand this: your enemies do not need to outthink you if they can out-emotion you. They don't need strength if they can provoke you. All they need is to make you angry, desperate, reckless. The moment you lose control, you lose power. History proves it. Rulers toppled, generals defeated, empires burned, not because of lack of skill, but because of lack of control. A careless outburst, a rash decision, a single second of weakness. That is all it takes for an enemy to strike. So you must become different. You must become still where others rage, silent where others scream, calm where others panic. Picture a storm tearing the world apart, lightning, cracking winds, raging chaos everywhere. The weak man is thrown around like a leaf. The strong man, the Machiavellian man, stands like stone. His calmness itself becomes terrifying, because nothing unsettles the world more than a man who does not break when he should. This is the fortress of emotional control, and here is how you build it: anger. Do not let it rule you. Anger makes men predictable. Redirect it into precision, into cold strategic retaliation. When they expect fire, give them ice. Nothing is deadlier. Fear. Do not deny it, control it. Fear sharpens the mind when mastered. Fear is a signal, not a master. Let it prepare you, but never paralyze you. Desire. Lust, greed, vanity. These topple empires faster than war. Master them, or they will master you. The man enslaved by desire is already defeated. Ego, the deadliest emotion of all. The need to prove yourself is the leash your enemies will use. Silence your ego, and you silence their weapon. Control is not suppression, it is redirection. Feel emotion, but do not serve it. You hold the reins, you decide when the fire burns, when the ice freezes. This is the difference between a pawn and a ruler. Imagine this: a man insults you in public. The crowd waits for your reaction. The weak man rages, loses dignity, becomes a fool. The strong man pauses, stares, says nothing. His silence breaks the room. The insulter grows uneasy. The crowd shifts. Power has already transferred. That is the fortress at work. Emotional control is feared because it cannot be manipulated. Insults won't shake you. Flattery won't move you. Threats won't scare you. You become untouchable because nothing outside of you holds the key to your reactions. This is why empires fall, because leaders let their emotions rule them. But you will not. You will build the fortress, brick by brick, calm under fire, still under chaos, unmoved under attack. Here is your law: control emotions, control destiny. Lose emotions, lose everything. So ask yourself, do your emotions serve you, or do you serve them? When you are insulted, do you break? When you are flattered, do you bend? When you are afraid, do you freeze? Write this in the comments now if you understand. My emotions serve me. I do not serve them. Because the man who masters his emotions does not just survive, he dominates. He cannot be broken. He cannot be swayed. He cannot be ruled. And in a world full of men enslaved by impulse, he becomes godlike. Build your fortress now. Stand in the storm. Be the calm that terrifies, because the world bows to the man who cannot be moved. Rigidity is death. The man who refuses to adapt will be crushed by the tide of change. The man who bends, who shifts, who evolves with ruthless precision, he survives, he conquers, he dominates. Understand this truth: the world is not static. Power moves, alliances shift, opportunities vanish as quickly as they appear. The weak man clings to the past, prays for stability, and complains when the ground beneath him changes. The Machiavellian man thrives in chaos. He studies it, he bends it, he weaponizes it. Adaptation is not compromise, it is control. You bend not because you are weak, but because you are calculating. You shift not out of fear, but out of strategy. The oak tree breaks in the storm. The reed bends and survives. Which one will you be? Look at history. Rome, Persia, Egypt, all giants reduced to dust because they mistook strength for permanence. They built monuments to eternity, and eternity swallowed them. The conqueror became the conquered because he refused to adapt. Do not make that mistake. You must be water. Take the shape of any container you enter, but never lose your essence. You must be shadow, unpredictable, ungraspable, everywhere and nowhere at once. That is the power of ruthless adaptation. There are two weapons you must forge. 1. Awareness. See the shift before it happens. Read people. Read trends. Read the game itself. Most men are blind. They only react when it is already too late. You must anticipate. You must see 3 moves ahead. You must notice the cracks before the collapse. 2. Ruthlessness. Once you see the shift, act without hesitation. Cut ties if you must. Abandon strategies that no longer serve you. Burn bridges if they weigh you down. The world punishes hesitation. The man who adapts slowly adapts too late. This is not betrayal. It is survival. The snake that sheds its skin does not mourn the old one, it simply outgrows it. So must you outgrow identities, roles, and even relationships that no longer serve your throne. Adaptation also demands masks. To one man you are fire, to another you are ice, to one group you are ally, to another you are threat. Never let anyone define you, never let anyone predict you. You must be many things to many people, but always one thing to yourself, inevitable. This is why the world will call you ruthless, heartless, disloyal. Let them. These are the screams of men who drowned clinging to their illusions. You will not drown. You will ride the waves. But here, this adaptation without direction is chaos. Adaptation with purpose is dominance. You are not shifting endlessly, you are shifting upward. Every change, every move, every disguise must serve the throne you are building. Here is your law: adapt fast, adapt cold, adapt without apology. Now ask yourself, where in your life are you rigid? Where do you cling to comfort, to routine, to identity? What old skins are you afraid to shed? If you cannot answer, then you have already lost. Comment this now if you understand. I adapt, therefore I survive. I adapt, therefore I dominate. Because the man who adapts without mercy cannot be stopped. He becomes a force of nature, and no one conquers nature. Imagine this. 2 men face the storm. One stands firm, proud, stubborn. He breaks. The other bends, shifts, moves with the wind. When the storm clears, only one remains standing. Which one will you be? Adaptation is survival. Adaptation is power. Adaptation is immortality. Be the reed that bends. Be the storm that reshapes the battlefield. Be the man who cannot be cornered, cannot be predicted, cannot be destroyed. Build this law into your soul. Adapt or die. Those are the only choices. Greatness is lonely. The higher you rise, the fewer will stand beside you. Not because you hate them, but because they cannot follow. The climb demands silence, sacrifice, and suffering that most men are unwilling to endure. Understand this: the herd craves comfort. They cling to each other for warmth, for validation, for distraction. But the elite, they crave power. They crave clarity. They crave dominance. The 2 paths cannot merge. This is the first law of isolation. Separation is sharpening. When you strip away the noise, you hear your own voice. When you cut off the parasites, you feel your own strength. When you walk alone, you see the world as it is, not as the crowd pretends it to be. But do not romanticize it. Isolation is brutal. Friends will resent your ambition. Family will not understand your discipline. Lovers will fall away when your fire burns too hot. Do not mourn them. They were not built for your path. The second law, solitude, is the crucible. It burns away the unnecessary. It exposes the truth. It leaves only the strong standing. While the masses drown in noise, you sharpen your mind in silence. While they beg for acceptance, you build a throne no one can touch. The world will call you cold, arrogant, heartless. Let them. Those are the voices of men terrified of their own weakness. They need the crowd. You don't. Because once you conquer yourself in solitude, no man alive can conquer you in the world. So I ask you now, do you have the strength to stand alone? Do you have the courage to embrace silence while others beg for noise? Comment this if you understand. I embrace isolation to rise above. Remember this: the path to power is not crowded. It is a narrow road walked by the few, feared by the many. Endure it, and you will never walk as one of them again. There is one truth that no man can escape. You will either dominate or you will be dominated. There is no middle ground, no safe zone, no neutral space. Life is not designed for balance, It is designed for conquest. Every man you meet is either climbing, falling, or being crushed beneath the weight of someone else's will. The question is simple. Which one are you? The weak pretend the world is fair. They cling to fantasies of equality. They soothe themselves with illusions of shared victory. But reality is merciless. There are rulers and there are ruled, lions and lambs, hunters and hunted. And if you refuse to choose, life will choose for you, and you will not like the result. The first law of domination: control yourself before you control anything else. If you cannot command your own habits, your impulses, your emotions, then you are already a servant. Mastery begins in silence, in daily rituals, in the choices no one sees. Every hour wasted is a piece of your empire sold for scraps. The man who cannot conquer himself has no right to command anyone else. The second law: shape your environment to obey your mission. A king does not justify his rule, he enforces it. Remove distractions, remove parasites, remove weakness from your circle. A throne cannot be shared with those who resent its weight. Your environment must bend to you, or you will bend to it. The third law: dominate others when necessary, not through cruelty, but through clarity. People crave direction, order, and strength. If you do not lead, they will follow someone else. Why should that someone not be you? Machiavelli was blunt. Men are driven by fear and self-interest. Accept this truth. Use it. Inspire loyalty with your discipline. Inspire caution with your presence. And when resistance arises, crush it, not with words, but with undeniable results. Remember this: domination is not loud. It is not desperate. It does not beg for recognition. Domination is quiet, inevitable, unshakable. It is the mountain that does not move, the storm that cannot be stopped, the presence that cannot be ignored. And yes, you will be hated. You will be called ruthless. You will be called cold. Let them. Those words are the noise of the conquered. Their resentment is proof of your rise. You do not owe them mercy. You owe yourself victory. Here is the final command: dominate your habits. Dominate your emotions. Dominate your enemies. Dominate your world, because only then will you earn the right to stand among the elite. Say these words out loud, engrave them into your mind. I refuse to be dominated. I will dominate. Comment them below as your declaration, your oath. Because once you accept this law, your life will never be the same. You will stop waiting. You will stop begging. You will stop living as prey. From this moment, you either rise or you are crushed. Dominate or be dominated. The choice is yours.